But first, the amazing, the shocking performance today of Labor leader Anthony Albanese. Another total disaster. Once again, didn't have a clue about one of his most important policies, shuffling the papers, trying to find where the hell that damn thing was. And there's a really, I think, frightening pattern here of a man totally at sea. But before I get into that and all the other examples of Albanese's brain fades and his stumbles and his memory losses on this campaign, I'll start with a segue that actually puts this in some important context. Now, I said last night, a lot of this election campaign is boringly stupid, to be honest, because it's so hard to spot any important difference between the two big parties. That's mainly because, of course, the Liberals are too scared to fight for their own principles, insofar as they even remember what those principles are. Increasingly, their pitch to the electorate is, well, it seems to me at any rate, look, the Liberals are just better at giving you Labor policies. You want Labor policies delivered well, vote Liberal. Labor dreams up the idea, the Liberals first fight that idea, then accept that idea, and then deliver that idea, but better, of course, more carefully and properly funded. And this kind of thing is what is driving many Conservatives nuts. And I'll give you just two examples from just today. Have a look at this. See if you can tell much difference between what Labor PM Kevin Rudd said 15 years ago, comments that the Liberals mocked savagely at the time, and what Liberal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said today.
Climate change is the great moral challenge of our generation.
Let me state from the outset that climate change is one of the biggest issues the world faces.
Now, if that's not bad enough, have a look now at the Victorian Liberals today. Now, one of the critical founding faiths of the Liberal Party, right from the start, was the belief in the individual, protecting that individual from the collective, from the tribe, treating people equally regardless of their race or their colour or their birth or their class or their gender. That is a founding faith of the Liberals. They might not always come up to that mark, but that is primary in the Liberal philosophy. So the Liberals should be fighting with passion against this new woke racism of the left, against these people who are wanting to divide us now artificially into races with different rights, different voting rights, different court systems, different welfare payments, different access to jobs, all depending on what you say your race is. Instead, I read today, Victoria's opposition backflips on opposing state-based treaty negotiations with traditional owners. Yes, the Victorian Liberals are now for what they used to be against. Like the federal Liberals are now for the net zero global warming targets they were once against. The Victorian Liberals now think that a state government should discuss a treaty. A treaty, like really you should be having with another country or an invading army or something like that. They think the state government in Victoria, should consider discussing a treaty with some of its own citizens who say they're Aboriginal. In fact, a treaty negotiated with the state-backed First Peoples Assembly of Victoria, which is a kind of parliament just for people who say they're Aboriginal. And a treaty negotiated with the leaders of this assembly. And if you do not see the idiocy of thinking that these people, these leaders, these Aborigines are so different from other Australians that they need different rights, then you're either blind or you're dumb. Or maybe, like the Victorian Liberals, just gutless.